Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up load balancer in Oracle Cloud. So if you log into Oracle Cloud, there are multiple ways to get the load balancer. So you can type in load balancers and you will find that in networking. Right, click on it, you will know the path as well. Right, so in networking you will find load balancer. That means if you go from top menu, networking, load balancer, it will take you to same place. So I always prefer the address bar to find things. Right, so next is clicking on create load balancer. Now here you can see you have load balancer that shows the graph. Your traffic comes to the gateway, then load balancer will listen to those requests, send to respective backend server. Right, so basically it will improve the resource utilization and allows your app to scale. So it will also include this layer 7 routing and SSL termination. Right, and there is second option, network load balancer. Right, so in between you will notice that there is a difference between how it manages the requests. Right, here you will see the direct request being sent to the backend server with listener there, and whereas here you will have flexible network balancer. Right, so I will check this load balancer with the default and then I will click on create load balancer. Right, now here let's give it a name. So I will name this dev balance. I want to keep it public. You can choose to go with private as well with private IP. There is also ephemeral IP and reserved IP for you. So choose ephemeral IP option. Then comes your shape where you can see minimum bandwidth 10 Mbps and maximum also here is 10 because I am on free tier here, so it selects the default. You can increase decrease, but that will also affect your upgraded plan as well. Here you can also enable IP version 6 address assignment. So by default it will take version 4 IPv4, and you can manually select IPv6 address assignment and that will do as well. Now next thing, choosing your VCN. So I will choose the VCN. This will also open up subnet option. Right, use network security groups to control traffic. You can use this. Right, so that's one option for you. There are advanced options like use web application in firewall policy to protect against level set attacks. So I will not select these. Right, so if you want to, you can go through that. So I'm creating this for a testing purpose, so I'll be leaving out a lot of options. Okay, because you never know what may trigger the limit. Right, so I will click on next. Right, so here we will choose the backends. So weighted round robin, IP hash or least connection. So here you can also add the backend servers. So if you click on add backends, here you will see there isn't any compute instance. Right, so you will have to specify that. Right, so if there are none, then you can choose add backends. It needs to be add at least to one in order to get there, but this feature is optional. Then comes your health check policy option where you can see HTTP port 80 and also URL path. Right, so you can also force SSL. You can give it the certificate service manage option, then CA bundle or authority you can specify here. So I will select the CA bundle. Currently none available for me, so not sure if it will get me that. So if I click next, so as you can see, it is not letting me, because I will have to get it to my certificate section and then at least have that one certificate before I can use here. So uncheck this, click next. Now here you have listener name, then HTTPS by default, then certificate won't be looking at, then we'll click next. Here you can see it's not letting us pass without that, so we will just stick with HTTP. Can we use HTTP 2 or TCP? Click next. Now here you can manage the logging. Here you can see that you have error logs, right? So basically have everything you want, right? So you have access logs and error logs. You can then click submit. And this should start the process for your load balancer. Okay, the smart check would be pointing out to your lack of certificate and HTTPS. It will say that backend health is incomplete because we don't have those options. So what we can do, we can go to smart check. Here we can see incomplete. So we will see that no traffic is being forwarded to backends. Add backends or change backend run and or offline state. Right, so backend doesn't exist, which is true. Again, also I told you about HTTPS. Currently with HTTP there is no issue, but backend is missing. That means we need at least one compute instance for which we are creating this, right? So if you don't have any compute instance, then the point of your balancer kind of mute, right? So the thing is, we managed to create the load balancer, however, and you can view this here in all the information. When it was created, bandwidth, you have like 10 Mbps bandwidth allotted, IP address as well, right? And you can check the smart check for any errors, right? You have work request being shown as success, right? Then backend set is kind of missing with our computer instance missing. So that's the only thing we have to think over, right? So next thing is we will be checking on our load balancer section. So here you can see I can terminate this because it is overall health incomplete. We don't have a compute instance. So it helps when you go from the flow of creating the compute instance first, then creating the load balancer, because you need some traffic to some place before you can try to balance it, right? So make sure to have the compute instance and then pick that in backends, right? So it will expose to that traffic, right? So now one more thing to cover is clearing our resource, because we used it but it's incomplete and we are not ready with our compute instance. So we will be terminating this. There are multiple ways to terminate, from its own page or from the resource. So it is being deleted and we can go back to load balancer page where you can see it says deleting, and now it is deleted. Compared to your compute instance, you will find that it will clear up entire entry from that load balancer table as well. Now if I go to compute instance, I already made too many of them today, and that's one of the reason I'm not letting them created today. So here you can see I created multiple instances of RStudios and MuShop. So I kind of removed them as I reached my limit here. One CPU, 8 GB, kind of too many instances, so I kind of stopped it for the day. And so in that case I didn't use the load balancer on one of them. Otherwise you could use that and see that in action. But if you have any search for your own use case, you could use that. So let's cover the flow. So if you log into Oracle Cloud, you will go to load balancer through networking. So from menu networking, load balancer, right? Or simply type it in your top search bar, right? Or you can even say something like with browser you have address bar. You can even see the same for this, but it is basically a search bar where you can have your load balancer there, right? And from there you can see if you have any instance. If not, click on create, choose your load balancer type, network or simple load balancer, then create that. Then make sure to attach your one of the instance before it can go live, right? So that should be the flow for creating load balancer in Oracle Cloud.